And then this is number 25 today. It is? It is indeed number 25 today. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's good. That is big. Awesome. I think we're good to go. I could be wrong. I'll never tell. Yeah, things look okay there. Sup, Tritters? My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP live streams. Number 25 of these SP paid requests, where for just $5, you can get yourself a song reviewed as part of the whole Ko-fi thing. It can be on Spotify or YouTube or Billy's, wherever you want. It's just $5 to get a song reviewed, and if you want one, you can have one. If you don't want one, we can just chill and just hang out, and it's cool either way. But we are here today, and I'm just setting stuff up. Hopefully you guys are having a good day today and you've been having fun and taking care of yourselves. I have been busy doing reviews. I have been busy working on an album, which now when I say that sounds absolutely kind of insane, but I'm really enjoying making music at the moment. I have made a total of 4 songs, and they are all sounding very different to each other, and I don't know if I can trust myself to make a cohesive kind of record. But what I do know is that I like the songs. And honestly, in this day and age, that's the most important thing, is that you like the music that you're making and you're putting out. Of course, I've been showing the tracks to people that I know personally quite closely, and they seem to be happy with it. But I will upload this when I feel confident that we're good to go with it. And in the meantime, for us today, I think we're going to start off with some music news like we always do, because it's always good to have check out of what's been happening in the world of music. I only really check the news every couple of days, and we'll just go from there. Hmm. Really need to trim my mustache. I'm trying to grow my beard again, right? Because I made the cardinal sin of shaving it off, and nah, man, that ain't it. That ain't it, chief. I could get away with it when I was a bit skinnier and a bit younger, but now that I've put on some chub, I don't have as much of a jawline as I used to. So, yeah, no longer the case where I can get away with being clean shaven, which is fine. I mean, I think that some people suit clean shaven and some people suit beards, and apparently I suit beards according to my. So that's cool. We got Billboard, you know, Billboard. Don't know why I'm getting like house news when I'm looking for music news. Google doesn't necessarily know what it wants to give me. It's AI thinks it's smart, but it's not. The Black Keys and 2 Memphis rap pioneers added to 2024 raised by Soundfest. Man. Lil Noid and Tommy Wright 3 joined the 3rd annual edition of the festival. See, this always kind of confuses me a little bit. I see the 12 and the 7 on the date there, right? And when in New Zealand, that would be the 12th of July, because we have the day first, and then we have the month. But for some reason, in the States, I think, as well as potentially in other places, they have the month and then the day, right? Because I'm assuming this is not retroactive or retrospective. So to me, this is the 7th of December, isn't it? Which is even weirder to me because it's like winter over in the States, if I'm not mistaken. So they're featuring apples and stuff. It could be like a reference to like a band or something like that. I don't know. But either way, you know, it's cool. It's cool either way. Chappelle Rowan, I hope they have a good time at the concert. Chappelle Rowan cancels scalper tickets to give fans another chance. Chappelle Rowan is having an interesting run at the moment. I can't wait to see people who actually deserve to be here, the singer said of a Franklin, Tennessee concert. Wow. Holy shit. They just canceled the tickets. That's wild. Chappelle Rowan's having there's some interesting movements on there around, eh? Like, what is their deal? What is their deal? Like, how long have they been going for? Oh, damn. So she's been going for a little while. She uploaded her first track, Die Young, to YouTube. She was signed to Atlantic Records shortly thereafter. Damn, imagine getting signed to Atlantic shortly after releasing a track on YouTube. That truly was the time to be alive. That's incredible. So she'd actually been going from like 14 to 15 years old. So she started young and she started getting some real kind of like clout. That's awesome. That is fantastic. That makes me really happy. It's just a success story. It's just literally they've found success putting stuff on YouTube, their own sort of like covers and everything like that. And they're making headways in the industry. That's awesome. That's great. I'm really happy. I think Chappelle Rowan is like, not that in this, you know what? It's my live stream. I can say it. I think that they're one of my favorite upcoming musicians. Every bit of press I've heard from them, unless there's some sort of skeletons in the closet, they just seem like a really cool person. They seem like a really cool person, and they're just trying to sort of find a healthy balance between stuff. I assume that they're aware that a lot of people have been doing some real stupid stuff recently, as well as obviously clearly in the past, and maybe they're just trying to sort of use their platform to make positive steps in the right direction, which I think is really cool. Oasis adds 2 more Wembley shows due to popular demand. Cool. Justin Bieber's working on music, well, that's cool. Okay. Let's just check this out. I'm just morbidly curious. Why did Katy Perry work with Dr. Luke after Women's World controversy? After going months without addressing her controversial decision to work with Dr. Luke on a comeback single Woman's World, which dropped in July, the 39-year-old pop star opened up about her reasons for working with the producer Keisha, accused of sexual assault in 2014. On the latest episode of Call Her Daddy, that's a bit of an interesting title, but I'm not going to judge, you know, I don't want to shame. He was one of the many collaborators that I collaborated with. The reality is, it comes from me. The truth is, I wrote those songs from my experience of my whole life going through this metamorphosis, and he was one of the people to help facilitate all of that. That's not a very good response. That's not a good response. That's not maybe the response that she thinks it is. When you say, but the reality is it comes from me, the truth is I wrote these songs from my experience of my whole life going through this metamorphosis, and he was one of the people that helped facilitate all that. You're saying that they wrote stuff for you. The issue is never that the guy could not write stuff, it's the behavior towards Keisha, as I understand it. So we're saying he helped me to become a commercial grade. No one's contesting that Dr. Luke is not qualified at what they do in terms of their professional career. I'm speaking from my own experience. When I speak about Woman's World, I speak about feeling so empowered now as a mother, as a woman giving birth, creating life. That's great. So you don't really care about what's happened with Keisha. You're more sort of focused on yourself and your career as a musician. And that's fine. But it's not a response to it's literally, you haven't even answered why they worked with, like, why specifically Dr. Luke? If they're one of the writers, did they necessarily even need to be involved in that? I mean, to be fair, apparently they settled. He countered with a defamation lawsuit that the two parties eventually settled in 2023. To be fair, if they settled, there's a chance that, I mean, like if they settled after a defamation lawsuit, like clearly if there was no defamation or if there was evidence of that, it wouldn't have been anywhere near valid, right? So I'm assuming there was some sort of like nuance there. And to be fair, he's not going to admit to it though, because he'd probably end up in jail if he did that. Clearly, it would be terrible if he raped her, of course. I'm surprised that there was a defamation lawsuit. What? After nearly a decade of bitter litigation, the former creative partners have agreed to end the case without a final ruling. Sup? Is this Chirp? I think this is Chirp. Hi, Chirp. Welcome to the live stream. I'm just reading up on the stuff about Keisha, just figuring out what's going on there. Keisha and Dr. Loop have reached a settlement to end his long-running lawsuit accusing the pop star of defaming him by accusing him of rape just a week after the New York court issued a key ruling that would have made it harder for Dr. Luke to win the case. Oh, right. I assume there would have been some money passed along. Keisha said that only God knows what happened that night. What? Well, that's interesting. So wait, Keisha is saying now that they don't actually know what happened and that they weren't sure about it and that I'm looking forward to closing the door on this chapter. But why would they have gone through with their lawsuit if they were sure it would have happened? It seemed like there was just a shit ton of money involved and they were just trying to sort it out and they sorted it out financially. She filed her own lawsuit against him in California and counterclaims in New York case alleging he had assaulted and harassed her, but those claims were allegedly largely dismissed or dropped. Yeah, okay. So only God knows. So then why this stuff with Katy Perry then, if they settled it, why in 2023 and they've both just basically accepted that stuff happened, why is there the drama about it? Or is it just it's yeah, okay, I get it now. I kind of understand the response from Katy Perry now. Basically, she's just like, look, that neither of them wanted to fully commit to the situation after they sort of like resolved it. They clearly sorted stuff out. And so to bring my opinion into something where even Keisha is saying that they didn't necessarily, like she didn't even necessarily remember everything after the settlement, to then further elaborate on that and ask, no, it's because she's still not really sort of said why that she's working with him specifically and why she would work with someone that was potentially accused of drugging and raping someone. Yeah. I don't know. Other critics also pointed out the irony of Woman's World, in which Patty branded and as an ode to female empowerment, being produced and written by a team of mostly men with a male director helming its music video. Luke also worked on the singer's follow-up single Lifetimes, which dropped August 8th. It's morning in Taiwan, 8 a.m. What time is there? It's currently about 12:17. So it's noon here in New Zealand. And it's quite nice. It's a beautiful day outside. Really enjoying it. Really beautiful day. I might go outside, enjoy the sun if I get the chance. Be good. You got much on for today? Is it say like what are you up to today? What are you doing today? Other critics also pointed out the irony of Woman's World. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like people are. And who do we have here? I mean, I recognize your name. Just checking it out. Here we are. Yip Xiong Lun, welcome. Yeah, apparently we're talking about Keisha today. I just wanted to like figure out what was going on there. It seems like kind of a nothing burger if they have resolved stuff. There's a lot of drama. And it's why you've kind of got to like look in and check your stuff, because let's just say I just listened to the I just looked at what was being said in headlines, and you didn't necessarily read more about it or try and sort of like articulate what was going on further, right? You just assume there was controversy, right? And to be fair, it got me to click it. But like, yeah, I don't know. I also don't even know why I care about it. Tiny Harris denies money grab at OMG Girls trial. It's more about the girls. Halsey revealed the great impersonators for jobs. Kids indict musician on landmark massive streaming fraud charges. Justin Bieber is working on his 2024's coolest guitarist. That's a stretch. Who is that? Who is McGee? What's this? Okay. A young prince. Does he have music out? I mean, clearly he does, right? You gonna load? Nah, Taiwan sounds way too hot, eh? I don't blame you for it. Stay inside if you can. AC is good, man. I feel like half of why this seems incredibly eye-opening to people is that there's not necessarily a lot of compositional depth to a lot of mainstream pop music. In like the West, at least Western pop music, a lot of it doesn't necessarily have like parallel majors and minors and stuff outside of key sigs. If there's a key sig change, it's usually sort of methodical and that's the end of a section. With exceptions like Sabrina Carpenter, there was a song I listened to from Sabrina Carpenter where it was a little bit sort of like more experimental, but there's stuff going on within this that I think, in comparison to a lot of the sort of more sort of conservative kind of 4 chordal progressions there, the 1, 5, 6, 4s with different instrumental layers on top, there's just quite a bit of depth here that, but like, an unlikely guitar god is a very, very strong take. He's got a different tone. The effects are cool. a lot of the change in tone is coming from the guitar effects he's got and the plugins that he's using and stuff like that. He's not doing anything with the volume expression pedals or anything like that. And sup, Jacob? Welcome to the live stream. And octave pedals. I think it's such a like raw, kind of glitchy, like kind of awkward mix that it seems so much less polished than a lot of stuff. It's very sharp with those upstrums. I wanted to check out the Unlikely Guitar God. Okay, there's lots of guitar layers. I mean, like, you can get that sound, that brum, just by kind of just smashing the gain on a mic input channel and doing an upstrum. I sound salty. I don't mean it like that. What I'm saying is that it's just really fascinating. You get the impression that there's a certain amount of, like, the musical audience, and they haven't necessarily listened to stuff outside of what they're used to within what they get sort of more easy access to. And it's just an entire wide world of stuff. And to be fair to McGee, what's really cool about what they're doing at this point is they are trying to go for more sort of a kind of rough vintage tone, and it sounds cool by itself. He's a great guitarist, you know. Natural harmonics. I don't know, man. I don't know if I feel it, but if I go back, right? If I go back, you literally have this fucking shit. An Unlikely Guitar God. Like, that's designed to get a reaction, right? How the fuck is this guy being compared to Prince? There's so many fucking independent musicians that can make music similar to this that just haven't figured out the marketing and haven't figured out the aesthetic yet. This is a time for a lot of this music because of the way that country's just kind of blowing up. And I know I sound super salty about it. But you know what? Why do I care? It's an opinion. They have an opinion. And they're entitled to have an opinion. Yeah, that's fucking paid. Sorry, because I try to be positive, right? Let's just breathe. Just. Too much hype. Coming down from that. Too much hype. Too much hype. At 27, the ripe old, the young age of 27, he's just a springling, isn't he? He has a desire to rethink how music is made and a confidence to do it. Oh. 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 We're going full circle, man. It reminds me a lot of the kind of acoustic stuff that was happening in the 60s and 70s. I think if the people who wrote it's like every 70 to 80 years, people just forget stuff that happened and then it's just suddenly new again. Because a lot of the stuff that happened in like to be fair, it's been 60 years. I know that there are requests, by the way. Thank you for your requests. We'll do them in a moment, but just eh. Moving on. I want to be authentic in these sessions. Like, I just want to be myself. But part of myself is visceral and repugnant when I want to be, and so I've got to keep that in check as well, you know? Anyways, moving forth. What do we have to review today? Chew! So we got a song from Chew. Thanks for your request. We got 3 to do. And what does Chew have for us today? It's a song on Spotify. So what's on Spotify for us today? By the way, just one comment on McGee. If Justin Bieber does collab with him, you know for sure that he's gonna like go. And that's great. I genuinely wish McGee success. The issue is more that I have an issue with the hype around it. It's great that he's encouraging people to listen to harsher textures and more unconventional sounds and kind of opening up more of a mainstream audience to that kind of stuff that's apparently or purportedly surprised by it, even though a lot of music's been like that over the last 50 to 60 years, especially earlier than that, with the rougher textures of the old school recordings and stuff like that. Anyways. Yeah, so this is Castle Near by JJ Lin. So thank you for that. Chew, we're going to get stuck into this now. Let's go. Let's do it.
I'm building castles in the air, living on my own. The floors would be glittering gold.
That's pretty.
Ponies on the wall. Every day people come and go. I wonder what remains. Memories that we hold, ripples on the road. Yeah, day by day I'm dancing away the pain. The world tosses and turns and wait till I'm all alone. Remnants on the wall collecting.
Great sound of the sub bass rising there.
Dust and ashes fall upon my soul. In my castle in the air, my fire turning cold. In my castle in the air.
The piano accompaniment with the dancing right hand really suits the vibe. Those backing vocals and the sub layer kind of fascinating as well.
Could it be you? Don't know if you're a friend or a foe from before. Every day people come and go. I wonder what remains. Memories dissolve in the rain, ripples on the road. Yeah, day by day I'm dancing away the pain. The world tosses and turns and wait till I'm all alone. The ribbons on the wall collecting the dreams from before. Dust and ashes all over my soul. In my castle in the air, fire turning cold, and my castle in the air. Yeah, day by day I'm dancing away the pain. The world tosses and turns, awake to them all alone. Remnants on the wall, collecting the dreams from before. Dust and ashes all over my soul, and my castle in the air. My fire turning cold, and my castle in the air. Remnants on the wall, collecting the dreams from before. Dust and ashes.
A little bit pushed in the base, but that's okay.
Fire turning cold in my castle in the air.
Beautiful vocal style there. They really suit the piano and the guitars at the end. A gorgeous resolution with the guitars and piano there as well. Alright, so this was Castle in the Air by JJ Lin. I think it's about JJ Lin struggling with being in their fantasy castle there, their safe place, the world they've created for themselves. And then realizing that even in that track there, what they do, which is quite cool, is kind of discuss how even their fantasy is falling apart. And I think that that's something which is an interesting sort of resolution, a design choice there. Thematically, it is. It basically tells the listener that even no matter how perfect you think things can become, it's never always going to be an all-round solution. You've just got to kind of figure out why your flame is going cold in the first place. And so I think that it's about just examining the sacrifices you make to get to where you need to be and kind of keeping that in mind. And I think that the vocals from JJ Lin communicate that pain quite well, not overboard, but enough to kind of get a feel for what's going on and keep it relatively authentic. It's also a piece where, again, just the melodies are really pretty, whether they're the mains or the sub layers. The piano parts there with the way the right side twinkles and the upper register is beautiful on the keys there. The bass line as well is kind of thick and full and is a nice foil in that lower part. And the drums are relatively subtle, alongside the guitar parts being relatively subtle on that mid range there. We had the vocals as a focal point, and the piano motif was the alt lead. Compositionally, structurally, enough to keep us going the entire time. Very little to no filler there. Well, there wasn't really any filler there. It was an enjoyable listen from start to finish, and it was nice to also just have the backing vocals kind of singing parts in those gaps where we could appreciate the piano lines again as like a developmental part there. I think motif-wise, it's elegant, it's beautiful, but there's also sadness for the minor key that invokes kind of a connection to what the singer is talking about, and the studio recording mastering is commercial grade. So stunning work. Thank you to Chew for your request. From JJ Lin, titled Castle in the Air. So what do we have next? We have a track from Jacob Good. Thank you, Jacob. And yeah, Jacob, it is stunning work. Is it stunning work? I say it was quite well done. I think I've kind of, at the same time as I feel like I appreciate J.D. Lin's work, I don't necessarily feel an emotional attachment to it. I think he's a phenomenal singer, but I don't remember listening to a J.J. Lin track, and at least in the more recent times where I've felt a connection to it. It could, even when it's been in English, I can appreciate and respect, I suppose, from a distance, what is being done though. They might have re-uploaded it, but thank you, Jacob, anyways. It'd be good to hear it out. This is from an act named Zhou Xin, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully I'm not. That wouldn't be very good, would it? Title Dala Bing Ba. sometimes I like look at comments and I instinctively want to be like a team player and go, yeah, definitely, that's it. It's not like with my reviews where I'm alone and I deliberately do that so that I have no affectation from anything else whilst I'm listening through it. Just so that they're honest reviews. But I think I'm gonna try if that not that I try to let that out, but just if I feel that inclination there, I'm just gonna suffocate it and kind of take a moment and sort of think about what I really feel about it. Because I wanna be agreeable, but I also there's no point in watching someone review something if they're not gonna be completely just kind of sort of transparent about it within in a way that's both mature and constructive. Um, he's a great singer, for sure. No doubt about that, though, I would agree with that. Um, so yeah, this is, again, Joshi, and thank you to Jacob for this. Let's check it out with Dala Bing Ba. Heartbeat. So that was Dala Bing Ba from Shoshin. What do I think the track is about? I'm not sure. We heard lots of different voices from Shoshin there, and they clearly are very adept at characterizing themselves in different characters and different ranges and stuff like that. And I kind of get the impression that maybe they were being different video game characters from like the from what was going on with the brap brap kind of Mario sound effects. I think that with the kind of leveling up and stuff like that. I think it's cool that they're having fun. That they're trying to have fun with their music and that they're not taking it too seriously and they're dancing around on stage and there's a really groovy beat behind it. And it's a lot of fun. And it seems like Zhou Xin as well is having a lot of fun whilst they sing it. And I think when we went into that operatic voice there after going low, mids, and highs, it's clever because we just get more and more as we go along. We don't kind of give ourselves everything too much too early. I kind of like the fact that we don't just give everything to the listener immediately because it kind of suggests that there is even more to come beyond that. But we knew how far to keep our microphone away. We've clearly had sort of stage experience, and again, just going into that falsetto with like the vibratos and the really high notes there, and the way we kind of we kind of make it more melodic as well. It's just tremendous. So yeah, amazing vocal for sure. The beat behind it, synths, sort of funky bass line, dum bum bum ba-dum ba-dum bum bum bum, and like quarter note sort of groove on the drums with the kicks and snares and stuff like that as well, kind of pushing us along. Adjustments with the tempo to kind of match different movements, sort of building up and getting faster and faster near the end for kind of a bit of a rise there, which was kind of cool. It was a interesting way to switch things up there. I wasn't expecting that, even though I do think, as Blue Dinner Box says, I think we have reviewed it a while ago. It was nice to listen to it again. I think ultimately it was a piece where it was celebrating something, I'm not quite sure what. There was a sleekness to the synth patterns and the chords there as well, which inferred there that this was more of a song to kind of dance along and groove along to, which made sense with the characterization of the vocals and the sort of joy we have expressing ourselves. And I'm not sure why there was a baby at the end, but there was. And the studio recording, mixing, and mastering was pretty good. There was some distorted guitars there with a bit of kind of edge to it, but they were kind of thin sounding, so I didn't necessarily they weren't meant to be heavy. It was more just like a kind of a mid-range texture to go alongside the bass drums and the other keys and all that. So for the most part, I think the studio production was commercial grade. I understand why people appreciated and enjoyed it. The focus wasn't Joshin. I think that focus was well deserved. So thank you to Jacob for sharing this track from an act named Joshin titled Dala Bing Ba. It was such a troll song, apparently. I will take your word for it. I would not know. I do not know the story, but I will take your word for it. So after Jacob's song, we have Rufo, I think. Yeah, it's Rufo. So we'll go here. Thank you, Rufo, for your request. Thanks for your request. What do we have from Rufo today? I don't know why that goes down to, there we go. Rufo. Familiar from the album named The Millennium Parade. We will try and figure that out. Is that it here? I'm gonna assume it is. It looks really cursed with the figures, but we're gonna listen through this track from an X Millennium Parade titled Familiar. And thank you to Rufo for your request here. It is greatly appreciated. Let's do it. I'm hoping this is it anyways. Oh, the Millennium Parade is their custom font, right? Phenomenal synth patterns. Interesting vocal modulation as well. Oh, are they just different singers? The organ is so haunting though, isn't it? So is that about someone who's passed away and they're looking back in their life, or they've lost someone and they're sort of fading away? It is, isn't it? Damn. I think I get it. That was a really unusual experience. That was Millennium Parade with Familiar. I think that this track is about someone coming to terms with their life and maybe the things, the mistakes that they've made or the life that they've lived as people carry them to a funeral march. And eventually, as they go through the proceeding, they fade away once they've made peace for themselves and they're no longer in what's the word? For like when you're in the middle of like it, there's a specific word like between like hell and heaven. Like what is that word? I want to check it out. What's that word I'm looking for? Heaven and hell stuck. No. No. Purgatory. That's the word I was looking for. I didn't find it. I remembered it. It was purgatory. So they were stuck in purgatory, I suppose, until they found their own sort of healing and eventually found that, and that's why they smiled at me, if I'm not mistaken. So they eventually faded away. It's a really fascinating song. It's one of the most unusual pieces I've heard doing these reviews, and I know I say that a lot, but I mean it genuinely. The mixing is such a weird situation. Not in a bad way, it's just very unique. There's definition with the vocal parts, and when the keys are by themselves, you can hear what's going on. But if we just go back earlier to the piece there, you've got these incredible synths going around the sides of the stereo field, these pads. The vocals, even the keys are easy to follow along to, right? But then if we go further into it, the drums weigh you down subtly. And there's extra vocal modulations and stuff like that, these oscillations, these harmonies there that kind of sound like sort of almost sort of demonic and like really kind of messed up. And here, you have like guitars and like tremolo work and stuff like that, and then the same keys. And we're just adding more and more instrumental layers as we go on, almost working towards a climax. Like there's more and more sort of thoughts and more stuff going on there. And it's getting harder and harder maybe to deal with until we get to the point where we've figured it out, we've found peace, and then we fade away. I think that's what the instruments are trying to communicate. It's a very sad sounding song. Definitely a minor focus there. It's a track where you have a state of tension and there's very rarely acceptance of what's going on there. We're in a higher range there, splitting down to like 2 or 3 octaves below there for a bit of sort of vocal modulation. It seems sort of like otherworldly. It's very spooky. And while there are some beautiful elements within the track like this, the strings and such there, as well as the organ that is throughout, like a funeral march there, it's very, it's like if you listen to it, you could potentially hear it was people calling out and sort of like trying to find peace with their situation and stuff. You could understand what they were trying to accomplish there. You could understand the sort of aesthetic without not necessarily needing to watch the video there. I'm wondering who this person is. Maybe it was like finding peace. Maybe they had killed, maybe he had killed her. Maybe they just didn't see each other. Maybe there was forgiveness in the end. They found their spirits and they was able to sort of fade away because of that. I'm not quite sure, but there's definitely a bit more going on that I'm aware of, partially because I didn't understand the lyrics of the story. I do think, though, that the two singers did tremendous jobs in different parts of the frequency spectrum, and I think it was a smart idea having the singers that distinct so that you could easily tell which one was which there. They harmonized neatly on top of each other. And ultimately, I think it's just more the fascination and the mystique to this track that I think it's just the almost sounds like the mix is kind of like worms in your brain a little, but just constantly like flux around the stereo field, and sounds like the mist is getting more and more mist as you kind of go deeper and deeper into your own sort of like ether, trying to figure it all out. It's an interesting paradigm shift. There's lots of different sort of movements within this that gradually crescendo, and at the end there, you're almost You feel like you get it kind of at the end there, but you really only get it at the end. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering is wonderful. Initially, I understood the cleaner elements there, and I was okay with it. I came to the end of this wondering why we were mixing it like that with things so tight and kind of like chaotic and almost sort of like a little bit too overwhelming. A little bit too overwhelming. Yeah, no, that makes sense because I don't mind if stuff's overwhelming because that's an experience, but almost a little bit too excessive in how overwhelming it was. So that technically makes sense. But all in all, though, I appreciate the artistic endeavor, the creativity involved in making this piece, and I'm thankful to have been able to listen through it today. So, Rufo, thank you very much for your request. I appreciate it. It's a really interesting song. And hello, Judith. Hello, welcome to the live stream. And just, it is on YouTube, so there are also lots of other videos on YouTube, such as Work and other songs, I think. Sorry, just shouldn't have been showing that. I'm just going to just close that. There we go. Oh, Millennium Parade is the same group of people who found King Nu. Oh, that makes sense. I'm not surprised that they're involved in King Nu. That's cool. It doesn't surprise me that they're involved with that. It seems a bit more progressive or experimental than King Nu, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they just needed a separate outlet to kind of do crazier stuff. We've got a request from Paul, though. Paul7931. So hello, Paul. How are you doing today? Hopefully you are having a good day so far today. Just going to update this to see if we've got any other requests here. We have got a few. Thank you to Dinahe as well as Judith for your requests so far. So we've still got 3 in the queue, which is good. Yeah, we'll get Paul's one done next. This is a track. Oh, actually, we don't know yet. But we'll find out. Here we are, Paul. We put Paul in the bottom one. No, he did not. Hopefully you guys are having a great day today. What are you up to today? What is your raison d'etre for doing stuff today? Hopefully whatever it is, you're having fun. Fun's good, man. Yeah, thank you for this poll. This is a track from Sandy Chan titled... I'm not sure, but we will find out. Love song. Thank you, Paul. The stuttery lower textures are kind of unusual. Kind of sounds like a hospital machine, like with the beeping. Beautiful piano playing and singing, though. Just to clarify, I do like that. I like everything so far. Just a little bit unsettling.
深中，爱你舍不得我，没有缠绵悱恻的场面，没有对白的你爱我。如果灯光再昏暗的无用，你眼泪为谁流？
It's so peaceful, isn't it?
夜色思念让人简单，星星说月亮最寂寞。你是我一场好梦，明天一切好说。我想你依然在我房间，带着我一直不肯走。我像是缘分哪里出差错，情歌才唱着不松口。我像是天分不够难掌握，唱不好的你爱我。
Gorgeous. Paul, why is there the low-end jittery stuff going on? I am confuzzled. Kind of sounds like a cat purring a little bit, actually. Okay, so that was Love Song from an ex named Sandy Chan. Chan, what do we think it's about? I mean, I'm not quite sure. It does sound like a love song in regards to the vocals and everything like that. I think that Sandy Chan's vocals are absolutely stunning. We just got such a great texture and tone to them, and the legato technique kind of makes it like an old school ballad there. I think that there's like they're clearly very proficient with their vocal technique there. They're comfortable in their range there, a couple of octaves, and because of how things are niched in the mix with the piano as well as the kind of buzzy, kind of foley-ish sort of bass resonance elements in the low end there, it really does feel like a track that could have just easily been piano and vocals, but they tried to add a bit of extra context and nuance in there to sort of make it a bit more unique, and I think they managed to succeed in that round. I think if I separate the vocals and piano from those other elements, though, just really quickly, I think it's a very well structured and elegant composition. We have enough range with both our left and right hands to fill the frequency spectrum really well. We're confident with both our sort of main triads as well as our extended patterns there. And we are comfortable across a range of rhythms and we're comfortable exploring the keys and different octave ranges and stuff, whilst keeping it relatively melodic and easy to follow along to. And it's really just kind of adding that on top because the piano is well niched on top of the bass elements. You have that kind of occasional reverberation of those lower end elements there that sound like a machine that keeps going backwards and forwards. It sounds like a life support machine or something like that. And I'm wondering if this is about someone that they love that was maybe not very well, and it's a song that they've made whilst they were kind of waiting on them at the hospital or something like that. I just don't know how else to relate that to. That would be somewhat appropriate or sort of suit the vibe of it. It sounds like an old 1950s track. It's got a sense of nostalgia and for a time where I wasn't alive. And that's the most sort of weird thing about it. But in a way, I kind of adore it because it makes me think, you know, how we can just capture that era in a recording. So we sang well, we played the keys really well. We have an interesting array of different bits of foley as well as bass resonances in the low end that come in occasionally that are consistent enough that it just becomes a part of the ambience and atmosphere. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering is really well thought out. Again, nice niching of elements within the frequency spectrum, no resonant frequencies. There's dynamic range to this. Things aren't too squeezed there. Things around you in the headphones, including like the beepy sounds or whatever on the sides there. And it's just really satisfying to listen to, even if a little bit confusing. And it's a gorgeous track, especially with the vocals and piano. So thank you to Paul7931 for that request from an act named Sanji Chan titled a love song. So that was cool. That was really cool. I enjoyed that. I have to change my camera battery, so it'll just be a moment there. One of these guys here lasts about an hour and a half. Which is kind of fine for a battery, you know. It's fine for a camera. I don't mind it at all, really. I mean, as long as the dang thing works, right? Here we go. Do we have any weirdness going on the sides there? Is it looking okay on that side? What about the other side? There we are. Cool. And then that one there. Awesome. And then back to being little guy. Judas says Millennium Parade's collaboration with Sheena Ringo is fire. That's awesome. That's good to know. I can imagine it would have been pretty special. But thank you, Paul, for that previous request. I appreciate it. What do we have next? We have a track from Dinner Hay. And this one is titled, what do we have? It's titled, it's not got a title, but that's okay. Dinner Hay. Thanks for your request. Recently, I just used my iPhone as webcam. Image quality seems pretty good. Yeah, I tried using my webcam on my phone as one, but it wasn't doing 60 frames, and I kind of like having the webcam doing 60 frames. I'm aware a lot of other streamers don't use 60 frames. I would like to do that. I would like to have 1080p 60. Webcams are absolutely cursed, man. Trying to get a webcam to do 1080p 60, like outside of like a laptop, I suppose. Oh, it's a war of attrition, my dude. A Pyrrhian victory when you get it to work. 'Cause you know the next day it's not going to load up properly. If you have to restart your computer, the damn thing won't work. Don't like webcams very much. They don't do what I want them to do, but I will take that in mind. I use Android. But maybe that's where I'm going wrong with it. But in the meantime, again, we have a track from from Dinner. I'm glad that the webcam is working for you. That's awesome. This is titled The Christmas Song from Alfred Packer. Awesome. That's exciting. The Christmas Song. Thank you, Dinner Hay.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping.
Is that Joanna?
Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh, and every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly.
It's Christmas in 3 months. It's Christmas in 3 months. Isn't that wild?
And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you.
Is a kitty cat. Hey, it's a very chonky kitty cat. I don't mean that body shame, but that cat be packing. It's a happy cat. I love this kind of stuff, though. It's just so organic, right? Hang on a minute. Is that a... What is that? Is that a grand? Did I just have a grand in there?
They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. And every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas. Ooh, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you.
That was a beautiful song. I get the feeling that the pianist was super shy. The guy can play the keys. Joanna Wang has just got the stage presence nailed and they're very comfortable. The guy playing the keys is a little bit more shy, but they sounded phenomenal together. This was the Christmas song from Alfred Packer. What do I think this track is about? It's about Christmas. So yeah, you're welcome. It's about Christmas. What do I think? They sang really well. Joanna's voice was fantastically fragrant as always. Worked really well with some of the complicated sort of jazz chords we had on the keys there. It's very much a kind of sit by the fire, drinking a hot cocoa, snow falling around you outside kind of vibe to that aesthetic. I appreciate the tone of the keys with the vocals. And I think that I can hear someone hammering outside. They're just smacking the crap out of something. What are they doing? Oh, whatever. It's cool. Moving back onto the track, I think that it was really well sung. Wonderful warm performance there. Voiced really well. And the keys as an accompaniment are fantastic. And they just played really, really well. And there was a lot of range with the different chord choices. Some of the lead parts on the right hand were fantastic foils and cooler responses to what Joanna Wang was doing. And in that solo we had in the middle section there, they just explored the octaves really neatly. The ivories were tickled. It was great. And it never seemed like either of them were trying to sort of take the limelight. It was a very... they were aware of each other, trying to make it more of a collaborative experience there. It just seemed like just two people at home just kind of vibing, just making music and having a good time. And it was great. It was just a really, really seemed like they were having fun. And I think that it was a phone recording, and the phone recording captured everything wonderfully. And I also want to give a shout out to Joanna Wang, as well as Andrew Page. Like, they knew how to play as loudly as they needed to suit each other's like intensities, volume wise. So even though it was recorded on a camera, you could hear both people clearly, and it was awesome. Yeah. So like, okay. So here, Scorpio 66. It says here you can go to the link in the description, and if you go to the link in the description, you go to Ko-fi, you can donate, and if you donate $5. You can request a song for me to review under 5 minutes. So yeah, we got Ko-fi stuff happening today. And yeah, ultimately I just think it was a beautiful track. So thank you to Dinner Hay for request for putting this forward. It was just great to hear Joanna and Andrew playing together, and it does make me excited for Christmas. But moving on, we have another track, I suppose, from, if I'm not mistaken, who do we have next? It is Judith. One more thing I want to sort of talk about. The high key parts kind of sounded like snow falling. Bop, 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 bop. It sounded like a Christmas classic, man. The Christmas song. It's just really pretty. I would like to hear the official recording with if they release it, but it could have just been a then thing, and that's fine too. But yeah, this is from Judith. So thank you, Judith. Thanks for your request. And what do we have today from Judith? We have Thundercat Unrequited Love. That's cool. We're going to listen to some Thundercat today. That's kind of dope. And I hope they don't just hammer the whole time. So loud. What are they doing? Thank you, Judith, for this. He's an incredible player, though, isn't he? Are those beatboxed hi-hats? And those little twinkles on the keys are so pretty, man. Great movement to the 16th hi-hats there. Beautiful reverbs on the vocals there as well, or delays. Oh, he's up in his range for that. That's cool. Awesome. So that was Thundercat with Unrequited Love. Unrequited Love. Is it unrequited or unrequited? Either way, sick track. Sick track. Phenomenal bass solo at the start. Honestly, like, I was listening to this track and appreciating the instrumental layers, and I didn't really pay too much attention to the lyrics. I'm sorry. I just got sucked into the different sort of bass lines and drum patterns there, and the different string movements there, and the sparkle of the keys, and the vocal texture, but I didn't really get the words through that clearly. Um,
Trying to hold my breath somewhere deep in space, and I felt like you understood what it truly means to be in love.
Unrequited love to be in love. So basically, it's a misunderstanding of the love they felt there. There's a lot of sadness from those string patterns. To be clear, though, the guy has a wonderful head voice and sort of mixed voice of falsetto there. It's really elegant on top of everything else. Has great presence within the mix. Like the tone of his voice has great presence within the mix. It's very soft, and I think the vocals are supposed to be more like a kind of a melodic layer on top, even though the words make sense and it's R&B-ish, man. But like the bass solo at the start was the highlight for me, I think. I appreciate his vocal style, his solid technique there, and the softness of that makes it seem a bit more sort of like vulnerable and kind of it's gorgeous, but just the technique there, the clarity of those notes, the speed of those pick parts at the start, the fingerstyle there was tremendous. The guy can really shred on a bass, and it was just a really interesting way to start a song because you don't often get bass solos doing that. But when we're comfortable across our entire fretboard, you can enjoy that. And we were immersed in the melodies for sure, Judith. Absolutely. And so I think that's kind of part of it is that typically you either want to tell a story or you want to provide an experience. I think this is more the experience card was having an interesting story in there. And I think that it's more the music is meant to represent their feelings and kind of maybe the lyrics are like more clarification on that. But I feel like the slow dance with the drum grooves there, the sort of kick and snare accent there, the occasional shakers move around the side of the stereo field just to show sort of like that width there in the cans. These strings there just were an absolute like they were a little bit of misery there the way they sounded. They were pretty, but they were also kind of very kind of like they were minor harmonies. And they kind of pulled it down a little bit. There was a glow from the keys in the upper reach that made it sound kind of beautiful. But yeah, the bass was the forefront. It nailed itself in the mix and was more supportive as we went forward with more of a sort of light solo bit near the end. But I like that we can have a bass solos and then we can sort of pocket when we need to. The instruments made sense together. It was a wonderfully crafted music song with an illustrious sort of placement of different textures and timbres within the frequency spectrum. The overall motif sounded like someone who's kind of working stuff out. And there was like kind of unusual chord changes there, which made it a bit more sort of like surrealist and kind of unpredictable. And I'd agree with melancholy to an extent. I do think it's sad. I don't think it necessarily. I would personally say it was more sad than melancholy, but some of the more sort of neutral chord changes definitely could be melancholic for sure. I think the strings are a masterstroke, to be fair, just the sub-layering of those. The studio recording, mixing, mastering is commercial grade. They're really well done. And it was a wonderfully enrapturing experience. So thank you, Judith, for that request. I appreciate it. It makes me want to listen to more Thundercat, to be honest. I've heard a lot about them, but I've never really paid much attention to their stuff. And I do think that they're quite special. So we have 2 more requests at the moment. We have Paul7931, and I'm keeping an eye on the requests predominantly because I will probably need to go at the start of the next hour. I have a lot to do within the half hour between that and when I start doing tuition work. But I want to say that I've enjoyed the songs today and I appreciate everything that's come through so far. Blue Dinner Box says didn't even realize it has lyrics. It does, Blue Dinner Box. They did indeed have lyrics. There we go. Thank you, Paul, for this request. This is from a track, an act named Stolen, titled No Replay at, what's it? It's Yu Gong Yi Shan, Beijing. Let's go. Let's do it. Oh, the sequencer, dude. And a crescendo, man.
What you want, falling cliche. What you want, falling cliche.
Ooh. That was unexpected. I was expecting it to get heavier than that with the vocal build, but that's kind of like an anti-drop, isn't it?
Dust in my eyes and stare at this demise. And I'll lay a feet away, no replay. God is just the rose, digging up these few seat clothes. A three-way, new relay, no replay today.
What's going on with their vocals? Is that him doing that? I mean, you'd assume it would be, right?
What to stay, what to play, to something What to stay, to somebody. What to stay, what to play, to something What to stay, to somebody. What to stay, what to play, to something What to stay, to somebody. What to stay, what to play, to something What to stay, to stay.
I had to go into a lead guitar part that was an alt lead. I like that. And an offbeat groove on the hi-hats is fantastic, man. Oh, they're using Pro Tools as well, man. Great build there, fantastic.
What to stay, just one more day. What to stay, what you play, just something right. What to stay, just one more day. What to stay, what you play, just something right. What to stay, just one more day. What to stay, what you play, just something right. What to stay.
I'm not sure what the words were. I appreciate the vocal performance for what it was, because this was stolen with their track title No Replay. I got some of the words clearly, but not all of them. I'm kind of wondering if it's referring to staying and playing, but no replay. Are we discussing that, like if you're going to play this game, there's no replay of it, and you've kind of got to get it right the first time? The intensity of it would suggest that, right? It would kind of suggest that, like, we were working towards that. Like, there was a, I hate the fact that there's hammering going on next door. I used to live next to a gang house, and they used to, I suppose I kind of had trauma from it. And I know that kind of sounds like I'm exaggerating it, but it was during COVID, and we were in lockdown, and we had a gang house next to us, and they would just keep hammering, because they're all meth. And they would just keep hammering stuff until like 3 o'clock in the morning. And eventually I confronted them on several occasions, and we just like, please just stop. and you don't want to get your ass beat by literal gangsters. So you have to find a way to manipulate them into doing what you want. And we did that for a while, and the police came around a few times and tried, but then I hear that kind of hammering on stuff, and it just triggers me, like without even necessarily wanting that to occur, you know? So yeah, so if I seem like I'm kind of exaggerating why I have an issue with the hammering, it's because I got really, really fucked up when that stuff happened during COVID, and I'm still just kind of getting past that. Because yeah, whatever, it's fine. Moving on. I think that the vocal performance from these guys is tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. I think that even though like it was just the intensity of it, just the how curious it was there. It was unconventional and we gave it a roll and we tried beatboxing as Judith mentioned and we tried other ways of expressing ourselves. Hey, we were really selling it. And it just was so punk. And the drum grooves that went underneath it were fantastic with a range of different offbeat kind of sort of dance patterns there. The snare crescendos there, the more minimalist sort of kick snare pocketed patterns there. We had a range of different grooves on the kit there. We had these really intense, kind of like over the top kind of synth sequences there that were just so vitriolic and heavy sounding. And it was kind of like a heavy sounding track without having to distort the guitars and all that kind of stuff on the sides there. It was kind of refreshing because we weren't relying on those more sort of traditional elements to kind of approach that. It was like synth rock. The lead guitars we had in the mid range, they were a nice foil for what was going on with the vocals and breaks, and they made the most of their place within the frequency spectrum. And they were quite pretty, and there wasn't anything else really in there, even necessarily the vocalists. They stood out in the mix. And just the way that they came together and interacted with each other was awesome. It was enjoyable, and it was a raw performance where they were clearly sort of very comfortable playing with each other there. It was quite tight. The instruments came through clearly for the most part. There was phenomenal dynamic range to the piece there. They kind of had like bell curves, several bell curves and oscillations throughout with quieter and louder sections, so that made it more interesting as well. And there was like an urgency to it, which where basically it implied that if you play around, there's going to be no way to come back from this. You know, you're not going to be able to fix this. We're not going to be able to return to this. And the studio recording, mixing, mastering was wonderful. Was it wonderful? I think it was solid. I think it was solid. I think they handled the fundamentals really well. For live performance, things were pretty well captured. So thank you to Paul7931 for this request from this track from an act named Stolen, titled No Replay. Again, if like they're a band that were up and coming at the time, they absolutely smashed it. I can never tell whether they're like a bigger band or a smaller band, but I'm really happy with what I heard today. It was really well phrased. What have we got next, though? We have got 2 more from Rufo. So, So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Sup, Shredders? I'm going to be closing the queue now as I have to do some stuff before my shift in under an hour's time. To requests before I go. So I'm just going to be shutting down the queue now. Just making sure I haven't missed anything. Yeah, I haven't. That's good. So I'll be doing Rufo's 2 remaining tracks. It's just I have to go and do some other stuff before my teaching shift. I'm also going to figure out where that hammering has come from. So yeah, we got these 2 from Rufo. Awesome, let's do it. Thanks for your requests. Okay, so we've got Thank You My Twilight, Full On Cool version. The Pillows, and this is again from Rufo. Let's do it. Why? Just like work. Thank you. Oh, synths. Oh, okay. There we go. Thank you to Rufo for this. It was a fun intro, though, to be fair. There's great return to that motif there as well. It's amazing how the guitars come on the sides as well, kind of boost up like that. I really just need to turn off super chats unless I'm doing a live stream. Hang on. Let me just do something real quick. Because I've realized that that's a really valid point. Just let me just do this real quick. How do I do this? Here we go. Hang on. Cool. Cool. I have just turned them off. That way, people will only see that it's via Ko-fi. That's good. I wonder what the song's about. And finishing and resolving the synth lead on that end part. Very good. So this was Thank You My Twilight full on cool version from, I suppose, the anime. From an act named The Pillows. I think it was gorgeous. I'm not sure what the track is about apart from thanking the Twilight. I assume it might be like something beautiful, like a person specific that they're discussing there, calling them the Twilight. I'm not quite sure, or something else. It could be like a figurative thing. But either way, the vocal performance was compelling. We're comfortable. We're great singer, and we're comfortable within our vocal range, and we show solid vocal technique. And the way we sing is quite expressive. And there's a little bit of vocal fry, a bit of push occasionally. But a lot of the time, it's spent more coalescing on top, telling a story that's quite palatable and approachable without being too much. I'm not quite sure what the story is, mind you, but just from the timbre of the performance, it's quite pleasing to listen to. And we niche ourselves quite well within the arrangement, even if things are quieter, or if things kind of build up as well in the higher ranges, like the hooks. With the guitars coming on either side there, we have a really bouncy, catchy synth lead at the start there. A really adorable kind of synth tone there, and it's so wonderful. It's very kind of innocent sounding. It bounces around and establishes itself as like the sort of core motif that you return to throughout the rest of the track, and amongst everything else there, the guitar, bass, and drum parts supporting it. The guitars have range to them, whether in the center or the sides. There, a crispy sort of distortion or overdrive there that kind of glows really neatly with the arrangement. It fills in the mid-range quite neatly. The bass line does the same in respect to the lower end. The guitars and basses don't try to poke their nose out too much. They're very supportive of both the vocals and the synths when they're there, what they're doing. The drums, but there are various sort of like percussive patterns within this, you know. I mean, like, there's octave chords on the guitars, to be fair, then the mid-range there, and they kind of alternate between, like, rhythm parts, like, sort of power chords, and then the mid-range octaves. The drums, they're closed or open hi-hats, depending on the section, with, like, more bombastic parts here, dynamic range on the kit. The theme overall, it kind of does sound like you're saying farewell to someone. It's got some parallel majors in there, which are kind of unexpected for the key sig, but, like, add a sense of relative kind of grandiosity to it. And it's very pleasing to listen to a part because of that. There's a bit of strain on the vocals again in some of those parts, which sort of sounds like the person has a bit of difficulty getting those words out because of how the words are or the story they're telling. But either way, it's a tremendous piece of music, and I understand why people love it so much. I think it's a great track. I don't know if it would have benefited from more alternate lead layers, but I think with the vocals being the focal point, it was fine as is, and I've got no complaints about it. So thank you to Rufo for requesting this track here. We have one more to do today before I go and get myself some food as well, because I'm hungry, man. Hopefully you guys are having a good day, a good morning, a good evening, wherever you are at the moment. Who is this? Here we are. We have one more track from Rufo. This is titled, One More. Here we are. And this is, Good. Yeah, go enjoy your food, dude. Go enjoy your food. Have fun. Food's good, man. You gotta eat. You gotta eat. That's very important. So this is the last of the tracks today from Rufo, from Shui Jian, titled, I'm not sure. We're gonna find out. Oh, some bluesy kind of stuff happening near the end. That's kind of neat. This is Rock on the New Long March. I know this track. I've reviewed this track before, but I'm happy to listen to it again. That brass is very resonant though, isn't it? Very intense style vocally though. It's anthemic though, isn't it? Yeah, great. Several distinct sections. Very pleased to listen to. Brass is catchy. And that's a saxophone, isn't it? What am I talking about? I think I said trumpet before, but it's definitely a saxophone. I remember that being like an underside to this, right? That it wasn't exactly as like sweet and innocent as it sounded. Oh, and those triplet hi-hats though, man. Damn. I like how they overlap each other, right? Is that a fade out we're into now? Awesome. Tremendous. Okay, so that was Rock on the New Long March from Natlang Suijian. What do I think this track is about? I'm not quite sure. I remember it being about the march they went on to go from one place to another, but I can't specifically remember what march that was. I don't want to misquote, because I remember it being quite an intense track, talking about a lot of really intense stuff. And yeah, I just want to make sure of it before I talk about it. But I think that the track was well sung by Srijan. There wasn't a lot of range with the way we sung those hook lines and stuff. We were sort of trying to get those core melodies stuck in our head. The crowd sort of singing as well. The backing vocals were kind of dope, though, to be fair. I appreciate what we were trying to do with layering those over top of each other in that later section there. And the story, the storytelling parts were effective. You know, you clearly understood what was going on there. And I think that we showed really appropriate technique for the genre, but a bit of vocal fry in there, kind of a hard edge to it. Makes sense considering what we're sort of like rocking alongside to. I think that's kind of cool. And yeah, we managed to get that intensity there with the catchy hook lines, and it's a nice mixture. It does do it quite a bit though. I'm wondering if it doesn't necessarily overstay its welcome. To be fair though, I think part of what makes this track work is the contrast between those sort of repeated lines there, and like stuff like the saxophone solos there are tremendous there. There's a lot of range within the melodies for those, and they're distinct, and they at various points of the mix. And I like the fact that they're there, because I feel like the song would not be as vibrant and dynamic without them. It was great to have those as alt leads. I feel like if we just had the vocals the way they were, it would have not been enough to keep things compelling. So I'm appreciative of the fact that we took focus away from the story to be able to do that. The guitarist with the bluesy intonations there, working with the kind of bum 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 bum. They also kind of bluesy rock kind of thing going with the twos and fours and such is great. The drum line pushing forward with a consistent 1 and 2 and eighth note groove there with the accents on the quarters, like we're marching forward. The bass line following with the guitars around this sort of more sort of like this steady, repeated chord progressions were neat as well. And it was a song where once you had the first minute of it, you kind of knew what you were getting yourself into, and it was more about kind of unlocking the song, enjoying it, appreciating the vibe and aesthetic of it, and kind of rocking along until the end of the track there. And there was some interesting guitar tones with some sort of like chorus in there as well there, which were a nice sort of bit of resonance in the mid range. They were kind of pretty sounding to contrast alongside that. So I enjoyed it. I apparently due to see some of the lyrics, I can sort of tell the caring and criticism of his country. Yeah, I think there were definitely some strong words, I think, from what I remember in the original version about that. Like from what I reviewed it last time, and it was great. I think it's honestly so rock to be able to sort of talk about that. I think that's honestly what we need is people to be able to be honest about their thoughts and opinions on stuff, especially if it's put forward in an eloquent and intelligent way. I would like to listen. I'd probably look through the lyrics in my own time, but the main riff as well, again, it's inherently palatable, accessible. It doesn't overcomplicate itself too much. It's more about the message that's being spoken by the singers in there, as well as enjoying those sax leads there, navigating those scales and key chords effortlessly. And the studio recording, mixing, and mastering is pretty good. Some of those vocal takes were a bit hot. But aside from that, I think that ultimately it was really satisfying. So I appreciate the work that's been put into making this an interesting listen for the audience, as well as the artistic endeavor from Swishan in this. And I thank Rufo for the request for this track. Ultimately, I think I prefer the studio as much as I like the live versions I've seen. But this is the conclusion of my live stream today. SPPay request, $5 song request number 25, or song reviews number 25. Hopefully it was good. Hopefully you guys found some new music to listen along to, or you found some new stuff you liked. What was my favorite track for today? What was my favorite track for today? I honestly like the Christmas song. I think the Christmas song with Jonah Wang and Andrew Packer were kind of like my favorites. I think they were great. Though I'm biased because I like Christmas, but genuinely, I think it was just really, it made me feel nostalgic for the time. And it makes me really want to get to Christmas. That's non-critically just a review, just personal me, but hopefully you guys have a great day. I will be back in a couple of days' time doing this on the weekend. Hopefully you guys take care of yourselves, enjoy your breakfast, and I will catch you in the next live stream, next video. Spiderhands out.